If you're just hitting play and hoping for the best, you're leaving a ton of control and creativity on the table. Hotkeys are more than just buttons. They are your power tools, and I'm going to show you how to use them. You are listening to the DJ Mentor. Real tips, real music, real growth. Okay, before we get started, guys, I want you to know that I'm now offering one-on-one coaching. This is 100% online for my YouTube subscribers. So if you want to level up from beginner to pro in just 8 weeks, you can sign up by clicking the link below in the description. Okay, let's get on into it. So hotkeys are markers you can place anywhere in the track. It's the exact same thing as your cue button. However, you can place it at your intro, on vocals, the drop of a beat, wherever you want. However, I'm going to give you a specific system that makes your whole library work together seamlessly so that mixing feels almost like cheating, almost automatic. So I'm going to show you how to pretty much mix so that you will rarely make a mistake. So it'll be like 80% plus accuracy. So think of them like bookmarks or launch pads. So here's my personal hotkey system. Simple, repeatable, effective. And first, let's just talk about how to set them before we talk about where to use them, just so it makes the most sense. So just follow along. This is how we set the hotkeys.
Okay, so we're going to jump into Rekordbox, and I have this song loaded already. I have Deja Vu loaded. So I have some hotkeys on this song already, but I want to delete them. So first you can see I have hotkey activated here. And if I hold shift and then press the button, the hotkeys are assigned to, that deletes the hotkeys. So I'm deleting the hotkeys I've currently set, and we're going to set them from scratch. But before we set them from scratch, I want to make sure I can see the phrases, because we're going to use these phrases here to know where to put the hotkeys. So first we're going to go to Preferences, Rekordbox Preferences. We're going to go to View. We're going to go to Layout, second tab, and then we're going to scroll down to Phrases. We want to make sure this is already ticked. So mine is ticked. If it's not, tick this off. And now, as you can see on screen, we have the red, green, and these other bars. So red is your intro bar, green is your chorus, orange and purple are your breakdowns and buildups. So there are both your low points. Okay, so let's go ahead and set these hotkeys. Oh, also, we need to know that we're going to use a beat jump function to jump back and forth on the track. So I'm going to jump back and forth 32 bars at a time to set my hotkeys. So I just jumped forward to the end of the intro. And then from the end of the intro, I'm going to jump back 32 bars and then press the hotkey button again, set the first hotkey.
So essentially, hotkey A, your first hotkey, is going to be 8 bars before your intro begins. And then hotkey B, I also consider this a plan B hotkey, is going to be 8 bars before your first chorus ends. Hotkey C and D, those two work in tandem together, and those are your typical exit points. So hotkey D, the last one, is going to be where your outro begins, and the hotkey C is going to be 8 bars before hotkey D, or in other words, 8 bars before the outro begins. So you can just already start to imagine that you're going to start mixing out at hotkey C, and then finish mixing out by hotkey D. Cues E, F, G, H, so that's your bottom row. By the way, not all mixers have 8 rows of hotkeys. Some only have the top row. Most controllers at your house, like the FLX4, the DDJ 400, the basic controllers will have 8. However, be prepared to not always have all those options whenever you go out to the real world. Sometimes a controller out in a venue might only have 4 buttons. Sometimes they might have 0 buttons. Sometimes your hotkeys may not always load. So this system is great. However, it's kind of like a cheat code that you don't want to get too reliant on. I want you guys to go to my playlist, make sure you start at the beginning, and then learn how to train your ear and beat match like a old school DJ. Learn the basics, so beat matching basics, phrasing basics. But like I said, if we have the tools available to us, we have the hotkeys, we have the launch pads, let's use them. So yeah, this last row of hotkeys, these are for more advanced techniques. I'm going to show you how we can place them on vocals, and maybe even create little loop sections. Okay, now let's talk about when to use these hotkeys. And when you use hotkeys makes all the difference. So first things first, hotkey A, your intro hotkey. This is pretty much used so that you do not miss the first beat. You know when the first beat is coming, And hotkey A is a good indication of when you should have the track fully mixed in. So for example, once A hits, you know you have 8 bars to have your volume all the way up on that track coming in. Now hotkey B, the reason I call it plan BQ is because it's your earliest mix out point. It's going to be at the end of the first chorus. So if for whatever reason you need to exit the song, so maybe the crowd's not feeling it, you're not feeling it, it doesn't match the vibe, or maybe even you're quick mixing. So if you're quick mixing, you might be going from chorus to chorus. You're only playing about 30 seconds to 1 minute of each song. So hotkey B is your first potential exit point, your first clean potential exit point. And then hotkey C and D, those are your exit points. So typically you want to match up hotkey A of the next coming track with hotkey C of the track that's finishing. So by the time the beat drops on the track coming in, your outro of the first track is beginning. So again, your outro of the current track playing is now matching up with the intro of the track coming in. So this is how you're going to make easy, seamless transitions from track to track. Now hotkeys E, F, G, and H. This is where you can start to get creative and have some fun. So I've set these typically at various vocal points. So I can bring in these various vocals at any point, bring them in multiple times. So drum them in back and forth. This is where you can pretty much express your creativity. And then also let's bring up cue loops. So cue loops are like a hot cue. However, you're saving a specific looped section. So you can loop specific vocals or specific instrumental parts or a nice little part of the breakdown. You can just use these loops to add texture to your full mix.
All right, let's jump on in and use the bottom set of hotkeys. So track A, have regular song playing, and we'll trigger some vocals using this bottom row.
Not everyone understands house music. It's a spiritual thing. It's a spiritual thing. A body thing. It's a spiritual thing. A soul thing. A soul thing.
Okay, let's bring in one more track.
In my veins, in my soul, in my veins. Let's just hope that house music will keep its soul. Let's just hope that DJs will keep their skills.
Let me show you one more thing while we're at it. I'm going to jump onto hotkey H, and let's just pause it there. I want to set a beat loop. So let's say we have a 4 or a 4 beat loop going here. If we press a fresh hotkey button, we just saved that hotkey. So let's close the loop. Let's say we load the song freshly. If we press that new hotkey reset, we automatically save that loop. So that's a hotkey loop. And then furthermore, if we click this orange button and make it go red, now whenever the song is to this part, that loop is going to start automatically. So let's just jump on over there. So you see the loop starts all by itself automatically.
A soul thing. A soul thing. A soul thing. A soul thing.
Now let's talk about what not to do. The main thing you don't want to do is set hotkeys randomly. So when you use a system such as this, you make your whole library work together. So you can mix in any of the songs in your library if you follow this structure, and they're pretty much going to work 80+% of the time, if not more. But if you set hotkeys randomly, wherever you think, it might fit, number one, your brain can only remember so much. You're going to forget what hotkey Z on this track does compared to hotkey B on this track. So a structure like this gives you very clear entry and exit points, and it makes your whole library work together. Now, just to take it a step further, for those of you that are obsessed with organization, you can name your hotkeys. So name them, label them. That'll help you identify and remember what each hotkey does. And I'll say it one more time. Common mistake is relying on visuals. I cannot reiterate this enough. Remember to train yourself to practice listening with your ears. The visuals and these tools are they're tools, they're bonuses. However, be prepared for the worst case scenario. When you go out into a venue or out into the real world, be prepared to do it old school, to do it with no tools, no additions. I'm telling you, every time you go out, there's going to be something missing, broken, wrong, cue buttons not working, hot cues not loading, beat grids not matching up. So be prepared for the worst. Use what you have, but be ready to improvise and show your natural skill. And do not forget to quantize your hot cues. Whenever you're setting your hot cues, make sure quantize is on. And then even when you're playing by yourself or out somewhere else, absolutely make sure that quantize is on, because there's nothing worse than starting a loop or hitting a hot cue at the wrong point. And it can just be off by a milliliter or a millimeter on your screen, but that's all it takes to mess everything up. So now you should know how to set your hot cues with intention and with structure. This will make your transitions cleaner, your sets tighter, and your energy more dynamic. Okay guys, make sure you like and subscribe. And if you're serious about leveling up faster, you can book a free coaching call below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.